Everybody, it's Patrick of the Pitch Deck. We're back with some gameplay of round 2. It's been a while, about a few weeks here, and I've had a little bit of inspiration to record again today. I've been down in the dumps a little bit with the meta. It's not exciting me that much. So let's see how Hunted goes. But right now we've been playing the league that means nothing. We've done round 3 already. This is round 2. So if you want to view the original, you can. I'm going to put it in the link down below for this particular video, but we're going to be doing round 4 next week. So let's get into it. We're not going to have the commentary. So with my hand, it was not particularly exciting since I'm going first against Phi. So since he only has AB1, we're just going to do a little bit of chip damage. There is 3 blues plus, I think it was a plow under. So there is a little bit of justification to do plow under as well, just to be able to fill my graveyard. But I think that'd be the only card that I'd get in there if I'm not mistaken. This is the only card that I would get in there as well, but I'd rather just get 2 points of damage in terms of aggro rather than just getting my graveyard filled and they're cycling a card. Because right now they're cycling 2 cards and it is I don't know if there's one float after that. I think that could be a yellow. Yeah, so 1 float. So that means that there could have been just 2 cards cycled, and Brand was probably a consideration. So 2 chip points isn't bad. Plow kind of sucks that you just can't get it online just right now, but we'll have to see just how quick we could get it in. It just depends on how the hand lines up with the earth cards. I'm still trying some different ratios as well. Lately, it's been in the past a little bit rocky. I haven't been testing as well as for this hiatus. The hiatus is like 3 to 4 weeks, not really doing very much in between playing only this particular league, as well as like I could have gone to Classic Constructed this week. That was the LGS CC Armory for the week / month, because they only do once a month for CC. They spread around the love with some of the formats, but we got Bittering Thorns into Ancestral. Not really that daunting for me to block, because typically what comes after the Bittering Thorns is something that I want to block. But not really testing too much. For this particular tournament, we can change our deck once the Hunted cards come out. So if I can get Ring, I'm going to put Ring in there, which I will. And you only need 1, so it's not too much of an ask to just get 1 card. But typically that can change your deck around a little bit. I really haven't been testing. Like I mentioned, I will probably do some Fang card testing deck configuration stuff was going on. A little bit of excitement coming from Fang just to see how he is going to be evolving, but that's about it. Syndra, not so much, as well as Arachne. Volcor is pretty nice, but we answer the aspect of Tiger Body with a sync, as well as just another card coming in for 4. We only have 1 card that we've used so far. We could probably get a couple more blocks in to feed our graveyard, because there's nothing too threatening, as well as Arsenal going away. You could just answer again with Blade coming back after this. So I'm fine to just take 1 extra damage here. There's going to be no Phi activation after this, because it'd just be costing 1 for the flame. And Tunic isn't up, so Tunic's on 1. So we go to 31. My hand wasn't too particularly exciting whenever it came to this. We're just going to go Scar for Scar, because it's just better for the fact that we just go again, and then just based off of calculations, they can just block, as well as I heal right afterwards. So Crane Dance, a little less of a draconic version of Phi. So we're just going to gain 2. So that way they have a different view going into it. I could have just blocked, but I don't need the Earth to go in on my opponent's turn so I can decompose on my turn. It still doesn't matter. I could have just like instant speed gain 2, but Fruits of the Forest might go in a little bit more because of the fact that fruits can gain more life than it blocks, in the sense that there's going to be a whole lot of daggers for one, for Syndra and things like that. You can just get that back depending on how many daggers Syndra will be throwing. So the dagger for one, we can, instead of blocking for 2, we'll just get the life back that we lost without any on hits. So, so we're going to be just going the classic attack sword plus the Phoenix. We only need to block out 1 here. Or did we block 2? No, we blocked 2. So, because we're just going to be playing out the erase phase. So it is, it could be remain to seen that the erase phase could stay in the deck. Probably going to be taking it out because of how pertinent the meta will go. If Syndra becomes a menace, I'm going to put it back in because of Draconic Chain Links being a thing. I think it only really matters on just Chain Links, but again, the spoiler season is going to see just how crazy that impacts Fang as well as Syndra. So they take it, it actually gets their face erased as well as coming in for Bittering Thorns. So that would mean that there could possibly be like a CNC, which is pretty daunting. So we usually just don't care about the Bittering Thorns, but if it is a CNC, might as well use the Fate now. So that's good. I'm kind of glad that as kind of fast forwarded a lot of the breaks in between decisions and thinking, so that way I don't have to do this post edit. Rising doesn't have any on hit, but it just depends on my hand as well. So I don't know what my earth count is at right now. It's been a hot minute since I've seen it, so I would take it. That was for 4, if I'm not mistaken. So we're gonna gain 3 or 2. Can't remember what's here. What comes up? I should have Earth enough to play it. Oh, that's right. I remembered. It was a bit of a thinker. It's either Cadaver's Tailing for 8 and then the Plow Under for 6 later on, or get the tempo in my favor of Plow Under for 2 and then the Cadaver's Tailing. Just depends on how long I think my value of the extra damage will care later on, rather than like automatic tempo. Because the Arsenal was not played after Go Again, then it could probably be something nicer that they wanted to keep. But Cadaver's Tailing is just better damage anyways. There was no on hit that I cared about, so that way I didn't need to block with Scour on the Rising Resentment because there's no banish, as well as Bittering Thorns just gives it a +1 anyway. So so we're gonna be even Steven on life totals. So Engulfing Flame Wave, that's one of the ones that he was holding on to. So it's definitely something you need a lot of resources. So it's a 2 cost. If it has to be the cost less than the Draconic Chain Link, so it has to be a 0 cost. I didn't want to play around it being in my favor, so we're just gonna go ahead and block it out straight away, I think. So blocking it with 1 armor plus a D-react should be fine. Feels like this is the best case use right now. Later on we could have waited for like an increased damage turn with Bittering Thorns, and then later on you get the reduction in for the attacks and things like that, but they can just close the chain because maybe chain links don't matter all too much with a less draconic version of Phi. So there's a lot of different things to consider if you're protecting against more value. So like the value of my armor block could be something later on that's used for it. So like better case, but it just depends on what would be off the top. So I don't want to take that chance. And then the E-Strike for 7. The Phoenix Flame going into the deck is actually pretty nice that they're saying it in the video that it means it's less likely that that matters to the Phi because of aspect of Tiger Body to get your chain links is more of the Tigers giving the extra chain link because of that attack, which is kind of an interesting way of putting it. So Failing coming in, which is quite nice, dancing around the Arsenal hate. So we're not going 2-2-2 or 2-3-3-3, 2-3-3. It's only 2-2-2-2, which really matters. Like online ability for your hero text does not matter. Making sure you're able to decompose is probably the best. He thinks that it's supposed to be discard, but it's just a bottom. Coming in for 8, you can probably just take this to the face and then go to equal life, since most of the time blocking is incorrect and taking 8 is your best bet. Unless there's some dead cards in your hand that you just don't need. Like the go again, like you just don't have a really good go again source. Yeah, being somewhat even in life total is Phi's best play, seems like. So Rising Resentment. This is potentially another 0 cost that could be banished. Like you can just get a Snatch right after this. So blocking for 3 does make sense. Snatch for 4 being pumped up is not the best, like going all the way up to 5. But yeah, this is the play that I'm talking about. Kind of like aspect of Tiger Body allows you to gain that extra chain link here, being great use of that. So for 0, doesn't really matter. You want to get the additional damage from the lava burst. But I believe that Rising only cares about if it's a draconic card, so it's less likely to block that you want to block it. But I think it doesn't really matter. No, it doesn't really matter. It's a card 0 or less because it is the first chain link of draconic, so it doesn't matter. It could have been like the aspect for 4 or lava burst for higher probably. So we're just gonna take the damage after blocking the first 2 attacks, which also kind of like plays around pouncing links, but there's no snappies. So yeah, we could not get the Plow Under to be played around for tucking a card, so emptying his hand straight away is unfortunate. But sitting 6 is still some good damage though. Kind of sucks we could not get the full use out of it. Usually taking it is completely fine, but blocking is also an option again. It could be just the go agains or too many blues for needing to pay for the sword at the end. Ember Blade being kind of like the chain ender rather than in the middle because of how maybe the Phi is built. But yeah, so Dishonor being just a 0 cost blue. Kind of curious if there are other zero cost blues that you can just put into your deck. It is like a ninja just for the sake of being ninja, so you can potentially ancestral over for damage. People just may not use it to its full effect. So here, it is the +1. So the Rising Resentment, that's right. It's not the +1 added to it. This is the +1 that's added to it. So getting +1 for anything doesn't really matter. It's the reduced cost of Rising Resentment. Mounting Anger is the one I keep thinking about for +1. This one I don't mind. It's a block. One thing I would say, if the E strike is being blocked, so you would just follow that up, but right now it doesn't really particularly matter. I can use my hand effectively. I think that's something you can look at, is like if Verdance is blocking with E strike and then taking the first one, then they may be able to play their hand a little bit better. Like they won't have an IP problem because they could just block and then send whatever you want. I think this might be a sigil in my hand. Because why would you not block with it? That's basically what I'm trying to say. As well as like E-strike into this would have probably been the play if I can't dump my hand. The sigil's there and then you replace it. So it's either one. Sigil in my hand or sigil in arsenal. So, Phoenix for 0. Getting into the graveyard after dumping it via E-strike makes sense. Double checking graveyard because maybe my hand is shit and Plume is better option for getting felling for some tempo. It's interesting that you could have just sent CNC and then just taken 3 to send a CNC. So that way I don't have a full hand to answer back to. Maybe they run the thought process of Verdance every time cannot use her hand to full effect. But the one of Sift being clutch here really, really, really is nice. And we happen to have the fruits in our hand and we draw a blue plus a felling. So this is probably one of the most goated Sifts I've ever played, which is really nice because this this fruits is the second earth that I needed. So using the felling that I'm just so goated to getting off of the Sift. Really coming in clutch for helping me out. But 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way up to 8. Now we're online. The CNC would have been nice, you know, not blocking out and then sending the Phoenix for 0. I wouldn't have been able to do this, I don't think. Can't remember what's in my arsenal. I think it could have been some small damage stuff. I think the card I sent to the bottom was like a D-React and then a Scalding. I believe we're Scalding. But it could be a D-React and an arsenal for my arsenal. So tucking plus blocking is fine. And then 0 for 4, no go again, which is fine because my hand is disgusting. Taking the damage actually is really, really nice here. And I'll show you why here in a second. 0 for 4. It was E-strike. I'm actually kind of curious if you take a little extra damage to send the E-strike for 7 rather than this for 4. It's either like 3 points of offense or rather than 3 points of defense. So here we have E-strike, or not E-strike, I just said that. Scar for Scar coming in for 4 go again, which is really, really, really nice. because the sequence of this is pretty nice. So it takes the Scar for a Scar into a very nicely placed Heartbeat, coming in for 6 points of value. Because of the fact that it just kind of lined up when I needed to get my Verdance ability online, and it just so happens that it lines up perfectly that way. So 1, 1, and 1. Do you want to pitch a blue? Do you care about a blue? So coming in for the 3 damage into 2 damage. So that's usually it's a 6 points off of just Heartbeat alone. So it's 8, 6, 8. So now we're up to 12 into 16. 4 card 16 for Verdance is quite rare in terms, unless you do like E Strike in a Felling, then that's higher up. But usually against aggro decks, you don't get that value. So super, super nice play there for my hand to give me that effect. Usually full hand, 5 hand is pretty scary. Just depends on what he would have. So Brand with Cinder Claw isn't something that I care about too much. But again, the helmet is probably something that you need to watch out for. Unless they have because they have a blue, because Tide Flippers cost 1 to give go again to. So Sink Below here, not really mattering too much, but it's just the Sink Below that we did have stuck in Arsenal. Thinking on Sink here, which we do Sink. I think it's my hand is full reds, and then again I go to another red, and I'm trying to replace it. So unfortunate for Bittering Thorns here that we could have just did a 3 block into the 4 block. Yeah, bit rough on that one. I think it's my hand, and my hand necessarily just doesn't work with all these cards here. So I think I was trying to keep that CNC to be able to play some tempo and find a blue for it. So the defense values would have been nice if it was reversed. So popping Mask here would have been probably nice. If it just depends on what they would be able to roll into for Mask. The rest of their hand could be 0 for go again, 0 go again, and then Mask. But during the game, he tries to pop Mask on this, but it's the damage for the Mask only applies towards the an attack action. So, and then I'm thinking, oh, I see what you're doing. It was the misplay of thinking the sword could be giving Pouncing Links here. So then that's why I block the chest piece on this. So a little slip up, not doing it on Bittering Thorns. But I think I would have been fine if Mask had been popped. And I'd probably just been in Lava Burst. I don't think Salt the Wound would have been too crazy. I think Lava gives you more value. But he did have the Lava Burst anyways. So I don't exactly know how you do Mask. Unless it's another 0, and then you have Salt into your arsenal, and then you replace Lava Burst there. So it could have been another 0 cost, go again type of thing. And then it could have been Aspect of Tiger Body, because then Shuko triggers off of the Tiger, and then Salt the Wound could be an arsenal. I could block this out if I so wish, but I can also just block. It's like since I have the embodiment, it allows me to do a little, change it up a little bit. I have 3 cards in my hand, 3 cards being that I could just give up to checking graveyard. It's just a whole bunch of reds in my hand. I think I do block this out. Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of defense reactions. So decompose, get it. I could probably just keep the decompose like option available to me for later on, just 2 of the root bounds, because I don't actually give that. I can decompose once and then the other one later, because of the fact that there could be an ancestral empowerment, and then I take 1 damage for no reason. So it's just the fact that they answer over 1, and it's letting both of those resolve, and then ancestral poking over for 1. As well as that giving me go again as well. If it's like a blue, then it can give it go again and then pop that. So there's just a whole bunch of different things that could have been bad for me. And then the other one was E-Strike. That's what's in Arsenal. So it could have been like E-Strike into the defense reaction, but I want to be able to have tempo myself later on after just taking a face full of damage. I don't want something stuck in Arsenal like I had before when I had tempo and just couldn't use my Arsenal. Use my life as a resource kind of thing. So yeah, E-Strike, definitely don't want to do anything with that. It's damage doesn't matter. Plus I've got a little bit of extra armor block later on. So CNC coming in. So that was what was in Arsenal. So we have a decision of letting our Arsenal get hit, which is the E-Strike, and we just don't die. It could be go again into something, which is completely fine, because they can just do Tide Flippers and then threaten lethal if they so wish. For like a snatch or something, which would force me to kill in response because of the fact that I do have lethal in my hand. But I don't need to break Striders when you don't need to. Like, don't do it if you don't have to, type of thing, because I can just answer for another 7 on my turn via Plume, Storm Striders, as well as Moon, because this is just pulsing Ether Life and then response. Do other stuff to pump it up a little bit more, but it's life first and then pulsing ether, so I'm going to gain 1 and then do arcane damage there. They know the 4 is coming up later, so that's why they're pitching over. So having 1 extra float, or 2, it should be 2 resources. Yeah. And then we have Sigil Plus. We're doing this all in response to the pulsing ether. So this hand would have been just straight up goated, because it's happening to draw the nuts for instant speed kill if they threaten lethal, because 2 of the cards just didn't block. Yep, pretty much just lethal straight up. Because it just comes in for 9 at that point, so there's no stopping it. So GG's to the Fi, and we're going to be on for round 3 whenever it rolls in, because it's the end of round 2 for the league that means nothing. So we got our round 3 very, very, very early in, so we'll probably roll through our commentary for that one as well. See you guys next time.